Hello, True Health Seeker, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Today's part 2 of our 2-part interview with Kellyann. I know you're going to love today's continuation of yesterday's interview because she dives into some awesome health tips for success that we can all benefit from. If you didn't listen to the previous episode, definitely want to go back. You can listen to this one and then go back and listen to the first one because we discuss something really interesting. She has this ionic foot bath that draws heavy metals and pollutants out of the body. Really fascinating stuff. I know several naturopaths and clinicians and doctors and chiropractors that use this device in their clinic and successfully see results. So I thought it was so cool that I could get her on the show. Enjoy today's episode. I know you're going to love learning from her. Jump in the Facebook group, Learn True Health, because we're doing some giveaways in the coming weeks. We have some really exciting giveaways. Some authors are giving books away. We have next week, I'm going to be releasing the episode. I just interviewed the creator of the magnesium foot soak that I love so much, and she is going to be giving away free bottles of her foot soak and her pain cream, which I thought was so generous of her. So definitely want to jump in the Facebook group. Just search Learn True Health in Facebook, and I look forward to seeing you there. Enjoy today's episode and have yourself a fantastic day. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 293. So, what are the health habits that you have seen since you've worked with thousands of people and working with these clinics? You hear so many great stories as well. What are the health habits that you can instill upon us today that will help us to transform our lives starting right now?
Well, one of the key things of everything we spoke about is that when you're in a debilitated state, when you're in a degenerative state, your vibratory level is literally at a very low frequency. And so as the health of the body comes up, there's a lighter and a lighter feeling within the body. And that's one of the things people tell us when they have a session is that they just feel lighter and brighter. And you literally can see like just this sort of vibrancy come back into them. And so the biggest thing that we need to do is to raise the vibration. And as we raise the vibration in our own individual bodies and we bring them together, then we create a higher resonance. And that's what you need to do is you need to entrain to a higher resonance. So what creates a higher resonance in the body? The thing that creates a low resonance in the body is heavy metals, and hence why I call them heavy, right? So because of the high acidity and the key thing that a lot of people don't realize, especially when you're dealing with people with like dementia and autism and those kind of issues, is that the heavy metals are actually causing chaos frequencies in the body. So it's no wonder that the poor little kids are going nuts. I mean, we had a mother who's a surgical nurse, and she has a 4-year-old. Now, I mean, it's just a devastating story, really, because this child and the mother live in a very toxic environment and know they really should move but haven't yet. And the 4-year-old, when the 4-year-old had the first foot spa, the water turned so completely opaquely black. This little one at 4 years old just downloaded a volume of heavy metals, and the smell was so extreme that the mother, who was an OR nurse, said it was worse than the worst puke she'd ever smelt. And the husband was in the room at the time, and the smell was so strong that he was gagging. He actually had to leave the room. So this was in a 4-year-old body. So, and that 4-year-old was in a complete state of agitation all the time. the mother said to me, how are we ever going to get this little one to sit for 30 minutes when he won't sit still for 3? I said, watch, you'll be amazed. The body knows. And so now when he goes to have a session, he sits there very patiently on his stool and just waits for the mom to set up the system. We've had other children actually pull the equipment out of the cupboard and say, Mommy, I want. And these children were like ADHD and very hyper and some of them even raging and completely calm and chill out. Well, that's because we've changed the chaos frequency in the body. We've changed the alkalinity of the body. We've changed everything, that was wrong in the biochemistry from that mucky aquarium to the clean aquarium. But the biggest thing that occurs is that the frequency of the body is come to a higher resonance. And when the body's at a higher resonance, it will mobilize at a higher level all of its healing capabilities. So the things that exonerate that and things that I recommend people do is one of the keys is monitoring your pH. So if you test yourself first thing in the morning, urine and saliva, that will tell you what is happening in your biochemistry. Now, because many of us are on the path of wellness, and focusing on the wellness channel, the wellness movie, we're now eating more alkalizing foods, we're eating healthier, higher vibrational foods, we're avoiding packaged and chemical, what they call food, but it is not a fuel source. So what you do is you test your saliva, and that tells you what your digestive tract is doing. But when you test your urine, that tells you what's happening at the cellular level. So you can see whether your lifestyle is affecting your biochemistry the right way, if it is actually affecting it at all. So when you test your pH first thing in the morning, you're most likely to come in more acidic because you haven't had anything to eat or drink all day. So what you want to see is, what is the score first thing in the morning, and then retest before lunch and retest before dinner, and see if your scores are staying the same all day, or are they coming up during the day, or are they going down. So are they starting acidic and going more alkaline? Are they staying the same all day, or are they acidic and getting more acidic? Because the trouble is, a lot of the foods that we eat, even healthy foods such as oatmeal, is actually one of the most acidifying foods. People don't realize the grains and the legumes are also acidifiers. So one of the key things that I suggest is people start to monitor their pH so they can see if what they're doing in their lifestyle choices, their healthy habits, are actually improving them. So that's key one.
Before you go on to the next key, I just want to
Yeah.
clarify something. So, how do we test the urine pH? Do we buy pH test strips? Is there
Yes.
specific urine test strips for that?
Yeah, the ones that we have, you can test both the urine and the saliva. And if people phone me, I can tell you where to get them. We actually buy them in Brooklyn, New York, because they're the highest quality. They come from a lab, and so you can use them both for urine and saliva.
Great. And what numbers should we want to see?
Well, you're aiming to be up at 7 or slightly above. You don't want to be at 8 or 9, because then you're too alkaline and you can get in other situations from that. But it's a rarity, and I've almost never seen it. So yeah, the goal is to get to up towards 7. So the key thing is like people who have cancer will be down at 5.
Oy.
And I've actually seen people bleach it lower than the original pad. Yeah, they bleached it to a lower color than the pad was actually, the chart was in existence. So yeah, the more acid you are, the more ill you are.
And that's the acidity in your urine, which would
And
be
also, and in the digestive tract too.
so when you basically pee on a stick, that's
Yeah.
showing the acidity of your digestive tract and your urine, which is all of a combination. Your urine is a combination of all the fluid that's bathed every cell in the body, right? Because your kidneys are taking that out.
Yeah, just to pinpoint that again, the pH of the urine indicates the cellular pH, whereas the saliva indicates the digestive tract.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Okay. So in the morning, if we have too much acidity or where we see acidity and then it comes down throughout the day, is that what we want to see, or do we just want to see good acidity or good alkalinity all the time?
Yeah, so let's just give some examples so that we're illustrating it well. So say you start out at 5 first thing in the morning. Now don't be concerned if your urine is at a very low number. The lower the number, the higher the acidity. So say it's 5 first thing in the morning. Then you retest before lunch and it comes up to 6, and then you retest before dinner and it comes up to 7. That's ideal. Your kidneys are dumping acid overnight, and that's what you want to occur, is the body's working on homeostasis to release the hyperacidity. So you want to release that. So, but then if you have the score of 5 on urine and 5 on saliva first thing in the morning, and you retest and it's the same at lunch, and you retest and it's the same at dinner, that's a red flag. You definitely need to change your lifestyle, because that's indicating your body is extremely acidic. And so the bottom line of acidity is the biochemistry shuts down on acidity and wakes up on alkalinity. The body cannot heal and repair or lose weight when it's that acidic.
So in order to heal, repair, and lose weight, should weight loss be a goal, but everyone wants to heal and repair as a goal, we can't be in a state of acidity because the body is too busy trying to just keep everything balanced, and it won't put its resources towards healing and generating new healthy tissue when it's kind of in emergency mode.
Exactly, and it's not got the nutrition when it's so acidic to affect the heal and repair.
Now, what if the saliva is like 7, but the urine is 5, or vice versa?
Yeah, well, so say first thing in the morning, you're like, I had a client this morning phone me after her first session, and her urine was 6.5 and her saliva was 7. So that's good. And so 6.5 or up that way on urine is okay. You just don't want to be a continuous 5, because 5, don't quote me exact, but it's something like 5's 1,000 times more acidic than a 7. So it's exponential, so every point on the chart is worth 10. So when we did the original, blood work, we shifted the person who had the flu from a 6 to a 7.5 in 30 minutes. So we moved them from very acidic to slight alkalinity, and that's why the blood started to open and liberate. So the goal is to get up towards 7, both, you know, for the urine and saliva. It's just not to stay at the lower end of the 5s or the 6. So yeah, you just want to get those scores up towards alkalinity.
Really exciting because it's something that's very affordable that we can all do at home, and that would give a great insight into what's going on. That we're undernutrified, that we have overtoxicity. It just gives us a great, early warning sign system too, before someone in their 20s who feels fine could do this and go, wow, okay, that 3 days of partying and look at my urine and my saliva results, I really am, going down the wrong path. They can see, or maybe they have a bad night and they don't get a lot of sleep, and they can see like things that we sort of take for granted, or people, drinking so much coffee and not eating any vegetables, and you just see like 1 month of sort of eating the standard American diet versus eating a healthy whole foods diet, you can see your body going in the right or the wrong direction long before its symptoms start to kick in. So we can really get a hold of this before major issues happen. And for people who are chronically ill, it will, I think that would be such a great way to, because people who are chronically ill, it sometimes could take them a year before they're feeling like 100%, right?
Well, and that's the other thing that, and thank you for bringing that up, is that when people are chronically ill, they will be acidic, and it's not going to shift overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So not to have that expectation. So what we recommend in the beginning is to monitor yourself: breakfast, but first thing in the morning before anything to eat or anything in your mouth, even brush your teeth or whatever, then before lunch and dinner, but to monitor yourself for like 3 or 4 days in a row so that you can see a pattern. Because if you ate all acidic yesterday and someone almost hit your car and you had a confrontation with someone at work and your spouse wasn't in a good mood, I can guarantee you're going to be very acidic today. But if everything went right yesterday and you did all the right lifestyle choices and input choices, shall we say, and exposures in the outside, I always say the pH will tell you how your externals are impacting your internals. So if you did all the right things yesterday, then you're going to be, at a slightly alkaline or towards alkaline pH today, and you're going to be feeling fabulous. But it's going to fluctuate like a roller coaster. And so you're never always going to be alkaline because life doesn't work that way. Our stress levels are so undermining our body's health. And so that's why you have to be your own best friend and do the health habits to assist your body. But the pH monitoring is such a gift because, as we said, it's inexpensive, it's easy to do, and it gives you such wonderful insight as to if what you're doing in life is aging or rejuvenating your body.
Excellent. Thank you. And then we can source those strips to test saliva and urine on your website or give you a call.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's actually a company in Brooklyn that sells them. You can get them at the health food store, but usually they're ribbons, and I haven't found the ribbons to be as accurate. And some of those green drink companies will put out a ribbon, and when I tested them against this one, the ribbon will actually show that they're more acidic than ours shows. And so then that makes me wonder about those green drink companies and if they're making people look more acidic to take more of their green drink, but that's the
Oh.
skeptic side of me.
Well, I appreciate the skeptic side of you because I think we need to be a little bit like open-minded skeptics here when it comes to everything, question everything, and but also be open-minded enough to try it. And so I'm glad that you're going to refer us to the best place to source these strips because I've tried the ribbons and I was not happy with using them. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'll make sure the information's in the show notes of the podcast, and also people can call you to ask you about it. All right. So what was step 2?
So one of the key things, when Anne Louise Gittleman was on, your podcast with you, she hugely pointed out how, and also Dr. Christopher Shade's podcast was brilliant, in which they brought up the whole awareness of the gallbladder, liver, and bitters, and and there was one other aspect in there. But one of the things, though, that I highly recommend is people doing slippery elm. Now, slippery elm is a powder, and when you put it in water, it creates this gelatinous substance. And when you take that internally, you literally slick the whole track. So not only is that great for moving the bad guys out because they can't hang on anymore, but when you put turmeric in with it, so now you have this brilliant orange concoction, and you drink it, and I'll give you more specifics on that in a second. But when you drink it and you take it in at the mouth, it's this brilliant orange color, like a marking pen orange. But when it exits out the other end, there's no color. So that turmeric is being absorbed through your whole tract. And turmeric, as you know, is one of the most awesome bitters you can take into the body, and why the Ayurvedic medicine sort of absolutely exonerates it, and so has many studies. So it's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, but an anti-inflammatory. It's huge for anybody who's in pain. It helps to shut down the bad um, elements in the body that are actually causing the inflammation and turn off the mechanisms. And so when you put slippery elm in, the biggest thing that the two of those people that I mentioned earlier talked about was, leaky gut. Now, leaky gut is just causing amazing problems in the body, and this slippery elm will create a barrier and stop the leaky gut.
Oh, I love it. Slippery elm was one of the um powders that my naturopath, when I was 6 years old and my mom and I were sick, my mom took me to see a naturopath, and it was Dr. Diadamo, the original, not his son, but the father, the original creator of the Eat Right for Your Blood Type diet. And he had a practice in Philadelphia, and he had a practice in Toronto, and we went to see him, and that was a game changer for me. He looked in our eyes and ears and took our blood and said, "You are allergic to milk, yeast, wheat, and sugar. Stay away from them. Here, take these supplements. And here's this chart. Here, eat this way. Don't eat this way." And every morning he had my mom juice grapefruit and mix in slippery elm with some other stuff. I think there was like diatomaceous stuff in there. There was psyllium and a bunch of other really good stuff, but slippery elm was one of them. And he had us mix it all together and drink it like half an hour to an hour before breakfast. So the first thing we did when we woke up was drink that every morning. And I got to tell you, pooping was the easiest thing in the world, but in my childhood, because we drank that every morning, and I liked actually waiting until it turned into gelatin, then it would just, like, slide down my
Yes.
throat, and it was delicious to me. I know, it's weird, but when I was from age 6 to age 13, I didn't get sick once. I went through the German measles. I'm now immune to German measles, with feeling like it was maybe like the cold, like, it was like, "Oh, that's a tickle," and then it was gone. I was not sick once until I rebelled at age 13 and started eating the all the junk and doing everything everyone else did, and totally rejected, because I was a rebellious teenager, rejected everything that my mom was trying to do. But I quickly learned that you do the standard Canadian or standard American lifestyle and diet, you create illness, you create that toxicity, you create the acidic environment. And so I went from being total health, totally healthy, to totally unhealthy, very in a matter of years, because of change, shifting the diet and the lifestyle. And now that I've spent, that was my, so then I destroyed my body in my teenage years, and I spent my entire 20s suffering for it, and I've spent my entire 30s rebuilding my body. And I'm very grateful that I went through all that, because now I can see it was sort of like the rags to rags to riches story for health, that I'm now that I can take everything I've learned and turn around and help others and show them the path, because I've been on, I know what it is to live a healthy lifestyle and how that affects the body, and I know the opposite and how it affects the body. um so love that idea of the slippery elm bark. So is it slippery elm bark or just slippery elm?
The slippery elm is a powder.
Yes.
So the formula that I use actually is I'll get a cylinder kind of tea mug, and just an upright one rather than a very broad one, so that in terms of volume of water, I put warm water into it. Then I put in first mineral matrix from Goat's Whey. And Goat's Whey, by the way, is alkalizing, where Cow's Whey is acidifying.
Oh.
Yeah, so I put the Goat's Whey mineral matrix in there, so I'm putting my minerals in. Then I put um, um, lecithin, but I don't put the soya lecithin in there. I put the sunflower lecithin in there. And then I put the turmeric in there. So I mix those all up. So, when Dr. Christopher Shade was talking in his podcast with you, he talked about how important acetylcholine was for breaking up the fat deposits. And so lecithin is amazing. People just look up lecithin and all of its properties, but you don't want the soy lecithin, because that's GMO focus. You
Yeah.
want the sunflower lecithin. And so, anyways, when you put the mineral matrix from the goats, and you put the um, turmeric and the sunflower lecithin together, you mix it up in warm water. So what I do is I drink half of that just straight with those in it, so that the liquid goes into the body ahead of time. So you're just getting the minerals and everything immediately. And then you put in, start with a quarter of a teaspoon and work up as your tolerance. And then mix it up. and then just let it sit for, up to 5 minutes or something, and it will turn into this gelatin mass. Then I just add a little bit more water and, change it from a pudding to a semi-liquid again, and then drink it. And then that's the part that will go through the tracks slowly. And things like that, and aloe vera gel, which will move through the tracks slower, is so fabulous because, as we said, that will get rid of the viruses, bacteria, and fungus and re-change the environment. Aloe vera gel will actually heal any kind of owies, shall we say, in the track, and like ulcers and things like that, and move the bad guys out. And because the aloe vera gel, which is like the plant that you put on the outside of your skin when you have a burn or some kind of skin issue, that outside skin is your epidermal layer, but it's the same composite as the inside of the track, so it will heal it.
Oh, very cool. When it comes to aloe, do you have any recommendations
Yeah,
for
desert of the valley is the one that I use, and that comes from the States.
nice? I think I've seen that one before.
And the gel, not the juice, because the trouble with the juice is that it's got too much citric acid. And if someone's already got an issue with ulcerish kind of, or a stomach issue or whatever, sensitive system, that citric acid is going to burn when it hits that zone. But the gel
Right.
don't do that.
I like that you pointed that out because with aloe vera, there's a film around sort of the gel, and with juicing, they just juice everything. They juice the whole thing. And unfortunately, that skin around the gel on the inside of the aloe vera, leaf,
Yeah,
causes diarrhea, causes, just
yeah,
irritation. And so if you're someone that already has intestinal issues and they think, oh well, I should just drink aloe vera juice to heal my gut, they might actually have a negative response to aloe vera juice, and then they think, oh, this is a sham, or all this holistic hooey is a sham, when it's the gel. They have to they have to cut and then squeeze the leaf to get the gel out, and then they don't juice it, so you don't get the parts of the aloe vera leaf that irritate the intestines. You get only the good stuff that you'd put on a sunburn, right? The gel that
exactly.
soothes and heals and has wonderful healing properties. Very
Well,
cool.
well, that one company has the two formulas, and that's what you're talking about, is the way they've done it. So the one you want is the white cap because it's just the inner lining, whereas the green cap is the whole leaf. So you want the white lid one.
Or for it to say gel, not juice.
Well, no, the gel, there's actually two different gel formulas. One is whole
Oh,
leaf, which has a green cap, and the white cap is just the inner fillet.
got it. Got it. Very cool.
So then just moving on to other health habits. Now, I absolutely loved your podcast with Catherine, Energy Bits. And so I mean that is just such a beautiful podcast. You have three different ones with her, and I think it was 265 and 266 were the ones you've done recently. And anyways, her chlorella is what I would highly recommend. Chlorella is such an amazing substance. It mineralizes the body, it alkalizes the body, it's a detoxifier, and it's a binder. So it actually pulls the bad content out, like the heavy metals. But then it's interesting in the podcast that you did was that she brought in that it's high in vitamin K2, and it has a lot of protein in it. And so she gives you, what are the other gifts that chlorella give you. But most people in my field are using it as a binder or a detoxifier. And as a matter of fact, when that whole fiasco happened with Japan
the Fukushima.
and also Chernobyl, people knew immediately to go get chlorella because that helps with radiation. So anybody who's doing chemo should be and getting radiation should be using that so that they don't get
Mm.
the side effects.
And not only that, but that their family, their immediate family, my friend who is she's gone through cancer treatment. Her naturopath told her and her whole family need to take chlorella because you off gas
Yes.
chemotherapy patients off gas, and also then she went through radiation. And radiation, you're not just like containing it, like you don't have a lead barrier stopping radiation from leaving your body. And so, yeah, her naturopath said absolutely everyone in your family needs to take chlorella, and to the point where no one's allowed to touch her or be like physically really close to her for a few days after her treatments, because and she says that even like her sheets she are just they smell like her body's she uses
Mm,
the biomat. I gave her the biomat and she lies on it, and her body detoxes and it just smells. I can't wait for her to
reeks.
try this foot bath, your detox foot bath. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to share this with her.
When and we've had people who are doing chemo and radiation, and they had, zero side effects from them using our system. We had a
Mhm.
grandmother who lent her granddaughter it. The granddaughter had um, a growth on her kidney, and so they took out the whole kidney, and then put her at age 7 through chemo. But anyway, so the grandmother lent them the system, and the granddaughter was the only one of all the children that was having chemo that didn't have massive side effects. But also, interestingly enough, we had someone who had, um, when they give you that radioactive dye to do, is it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, so anyways, like Chuck, what's his name's wife had a major reaction to that. Well, we had a client who instantly had an allergic reaction to whatever that dye is and what's in it. And I mean, the eyes again went to cesspools. The skin went white. The body went into such agitation, just like total anxiety, panic attack. I mean, literally, the person was in a full-fledged panic attack. And so within an hour, we have them in the PS detox system, and half an hour later, none of those symptoms were present.
I love it. I'm very, very excited for the people who have chronic disease and how much all of what you're teaching and what you provide can help them. That's really exciting.
Well, and what's really great is that, one of the things that happens, and why, a lot of these talks that are given are just completely overwhelming people. I mean, they're telling them, what the state of the world is in way too graphic details, like worse than the news. And people are just absolutely in despair because, one, they're overwhelmed by what to do, or two, they can't, do it, because of their energy levels or whatever. But the wonderful thing that I found in being involved, what we're doing, is that people now realize it. You minimize your exposure, but whatever exposure you have, I can go over to Vancouver on the world's worst smoggy day where you can't even see the mountains from the airport, and go down into the chemistry of soup that's in the downtown area held in by the mountains, and not be freaking out what I'm absorbing because I know I can come home and get rid of it. One time I went into a grocery store and they had a meltdown in their freezer and it released freon gas into the store. Well, 10 minutes exposure to that, I had the most severe headache, like someone slammed my head into the floor feeling, and I felt like I had an elephant on my chest, and my whole nervous system was like agitated. So I came home within 20 minutes and had a session. I just looked at my husband. I said, I've got to have a session. So I didn't even tell him why, and I went in. And within that period of time of the 30 minutes, all of those symptoms completely evaporated. So it's great for acute exposure as well as chronic.
That is phenomenal. I'm very excited. We have to take we have to advocate for ourselves, and we have to practice preventive medicine. We need to arm ourselves with our own tools, because there is no utopia where we wait until we get sick and then go get a magic pill and everything makes everything better. We've all discovered that. That's why we're here. We have to take responsibility for our own health. Thank you so much for bringing all these amazing points. Was there anything else that you wanted to share, or was that the last point?
Well, the key thing, of course, is water. I mean, the biggest problem that we're facing is, pure water. People are consuming pure water, and for God's sakes, never drink tap water. I mean, if anything else, Flint would have taught us all that lesson. But the thing is that getting pure water into the body, babies have like 90% water, but elderly are often as little as 50%. So the difference between a plum and a raisin is hydration, and most people are completely dehydrated. So besides getting the water and the nutrients, the other thing is exercise. And one of the things that I love is Shiba Fa, which sort of looks like Tai Chi. Now, Dr. Christopher Shade talked about what was the effects of Tai Chi. Now, when you're doing a sort of yoga movement in a flowing kind of fashion, it is very soothing to the body. So you're moving back into parasympathetic. And by the way, our technology moves you out of sympathetic mode to parasympathetic mode. And that's why the children completely calm down, even if they're autistic or ADHD when they're having a session. So what you want to do is you want to create pauses, even if it's 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes in our foot spa works fabulously. But doing something like Shi Ba Fa, which is spelled SHI space BA space FA. The Chinese developed it to keep the Chinese out of the hospital. And so it's a whole series of set of moves or asanas, yoga stretches that will actually tune up all parts of your body and create your core strength to come up, but also your balance. Because one of the things they found with the seniors was that they fell too easily because they didn't have that ability to sort of reorient their body when they started to fall. But when they did Shiba Fa, the elderlies, the degree of falling decreased immensely. So it's really amazing because it works on so many levels. You're doing breath with movement and slow posture. The problem with the world today is that it's too sped up. Everything that we do in life is about speed. It's about multitasking. How much can I get in this minute? So if you want to bring balance back into your life, you got to create the pauses. And as I say, one of the most brilliant pauses that I've ever experienced is, just even sitting in a chair for 5 or 10 minutes, just focus on your breathing, whether you're meditating, praying, or just breathing, it's the same thing. You're connecting to a different frequency. And remember, the key thing about wellness is that your frequency is at a higher level. And that's what our goal is to create our bodies to vibrate at a higher resonance. And then we join together as this wonderful, absolutely fabulous community of people joining together to heal and being healers and bring that level of consciousness and awareness in the world. And we are shifting this place into what will be a paradise. We're just experiencing a little turbulence, sort of like we're in a plane and we're going through the clouds and there's that rumbling and agitation. That's the state that we're in presently. But on the other side of the rapids is this beautiful, pristine, calm lake, and that's where we're all heading. And we're here together to create that.
Beautiful. I love it. Yes, we're flying to Kauai and paradise is at the end of our flight.
Exactly, but the key thing is to enjoy the journey. And that's the trouble is that's why I said put the photograph on your fridge and say today. It's not sometime in the future because there's only one place that you can change anything in your world, and that's this moment.
Body, this is what we are creating today. I
Yes.
love it. This is going to be a two-parter. I'm gonna split this up into two parts because it was wonderful. Listeners, please visit Kellyanne's website, platinumenergysystems.ca. She has a huge resource library. Give her a call. She'd love to talk to you. The coupon code, if you're just going to go to her website and buy the system, the foot detox system, is 15% off using coupon code LTH. Or you can give Kellyanne a call and say, "Hey, I heard you on my favorite podcast." It's been such a pleasure having you here today. Love to have you back. This has been marvelous. And it's so cool. You're very humble You're a servant of health and healing. You really want to give to people and help people. But if people knew like how many of their favorite, famous doctors are your clients, or that are your customer, and just how much of an impact you have in helping thousands upon thousands of people get their health back. I mean, it just boggles my mind. Thank you so much for bringing this information to us today. I'm really looking forward to hearing how these two episodes have helped the listeners. Listeners, please email me, ashley@learntruehealth.com. You can come to our Facebook group, join Learn True Health Facebook group. Just search Learn True Health in Facebook. Join the group. Let's have a discussion. Tell me what you thought of this episode, these two episodes. Tell me what you thought of all the information Kellyann was sharing today. And also, if you get the foot detox system, I want to hear your results. I want to hear how you feel and how your kids feel and how your friends feel as you share it. There's so many people in my life I'm thinking of right now that I want to share it with. So I'm really, really excited to get going on it. Kellyann, is there anything you'd like to say to wrap up today's interview?
Just, I think that the biggest thing that we can do is be a sun presence in the world.
Is to be a what?
The sun presence, sunny in the world.
Ah,
Yeah, and so you got to create that at a cellular level, expand it out to a gland level, to an organ level, to a system level, and then you just become this glowing sun presence. And so, be aware of what vibration you are sharing with others.
that was beautifully said. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Glad to be of help.
Are you looking to optimize your health? Are you looking to get the best supplements at the lowest price? For high quality supplements and to talk to someone about what supplements are best for you, go to takeyoursupplements.com, and one of our fantastic True Health coaches will help you pick out the right supplements for you that are the highest quality and the best price. That's takeyoursupplements.com. takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Be sure to ask about free shipping and our awesome referral program.